If you are hearing that sound, you are seeing that roller coaster, that means it is time for today's live stream. I am so excited to talk about lighting. It is one of my favorite things in all of photography. Let me know where you are joining us from in the comments below. Looks like we already have 5 or 6 people in the stream. Do me a favor and let me know where you're joining from. Hello and welcome. If you're just joining us, do us a favor and let us know where you're joining from. I see you, Eeyore. I see you, Raul. I see you, Cliff. Let us know that you're here. Less than a minute before we get started, let me know where you're joining from so I can throw your name up on the screen. Hello, 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 and welcome to today's live stream. Let us know where you're joining from. Let's see who we have so far. Mike is checking in from Copley, Ohio. Ohio. Words. I hope you're doing well, man. Jim Summers is ready to be enlightened. This guy, this Jim Summers, he's a pretty punny guy. You got to watch him. Every day he has something new for us. I love it. Karna joining us from Canton, Michigan. Hello, hello, hello. It looks like we have about 15 people. So I know you're out there. Let us know where you're coming from. Hello, Melva from Cleveland. Again, I'm looking over at my other screen here. It looks like Fred is joining us. Don Rogers is joining us. Hello, Cliff is joining us. Steve Kudnar. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's live stream. I'm really excited about today's live stream. Let me actually bring in a friend of mine. And if you might have watched a couple weeks ago, he joined us, and that is Eric, our friendly Profoto sales rep. How are we doing today, buddy?
I'm well, TJ. How are you?
I am doing very well, thank you. Hopefully you're holding up well down in the mid-Ohio region, and I hope you are staying nice and healthy.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, we are doing very well, and I hope the same for you. And thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So today we're doing some final last minute just adjustments to try to get a camera dialed in. So Chris is also going to join us. Chris Fain, he's the tech rep for Profoto. So he's going to join us as well. He's just making some final last minute changes. And as soon as he pops up, we'll get him added as well. So before we get started, I did want to do just a little bit of housekeeping. First and foremost, we will be monitoring the chat. So if you do have questions about lighting, today we're going to be talking about soft light versus hard light, as well as how to use different modifiers. So even though this is obviously it's Profoto is helping us out with this, these concepts will be able to be applied to any lighting. They just want you to learn to light and learn to light right. So we are monitoring the chat for any questions that do pop up at any time. Just let us know and I'll get those thrown in for you. Our new hours, I wanted to let you guys know that we are back to our normal hours during the week. So we're still open from Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7 throughout the week, and then on Saturday 10 till I believe 5. 10 to 6, 10 to 6. So we are there for you. So if you want to take advantage of our curbside pickup, or if you want to order online, we are in the store there to help you. We just ask that you take advantage of that curbside pickup, and there's a little doorbell, ring doorbell that'll let us know that you're there. Click on that. We'll keep safe distance. We have masks on. We wear them at the store. So we want to make sure everybody stays nice and healthy. But again, if you need something for a project that you're working on, we are there to help you. Also, if you do have any suggestions for these live streams, please let me know. We do these every day at noon. So if there's any content that you want me to cover, please let me know. Moving right along, I wanted to let you know about the PPA. So the Professional Photographers of America, they don't sponsor this by any stretch of the imagination. I just am a big believer in what they do. So PPA opened up all of their content that's online for all users, all camera, all photographers. So if there's something that you want to learn about business, if there's something you want to learn about lighting, go check out the PPA. They have a ton of free content, thousands of videos, and thousands of resources that you can access for absolutely no cost. Also, if you could do me a huge favor, if you go to social.thepixelconnection.com, you'll see an option for the podcast. So we launched a podcast about 2 weeks ago. Actually, today I'm recording another episode, and it's all about the business of photography. It has nothing to do with gear. It has nothing to do with, this shiny new thing. It's all about the business of photography. So myself and a local photographer, Justin, we get on there and we talk about the business of photography and how you can start your business. So, if this pandemic has got you into the point where you're now having to start a business, or now it's that push that you want to, or push that you needed to get your business started, definitely check out the Talking Pixels podcast. So what exactly are our goals for today? So number one is to pull you away from the FUD, the fear, the uncertainty, the doubt that is going on around us right now. At the end of the day, obviously I want to be here to show up. I want to show up every day at noon for you, to pull you away from all the craziness that's going on. I want to remind you that you have an amazing hobby, that we all share in this amazing hobby known as photography. So what's cool about photography, and you know this, is it has the ability to allow you to be lost into something. I was talking to Eric before the show, and he was talking about how his wife's been doing a lot of photography with just stuff in the house, and she's using multiple flashes, and that it's pulling us away from what's going on. So my goal is every day at noon to be able to do that for you, to be able to show up for you. Also, my goal is to kind of get you outside of your comfort zone. Maybe you've never thought about lighting or getting your flash off the camera. Maybe you only shoot natural light. Well, that's why we are doing these presentations, is to get you to try something new, get you outside of your comfort zone. So that way you can maybe turn this into something more profitable. Maybe now you can add headshots, or now you can add a whole new vertical to your business, some more tools that you're adding to your repertoire. So those are kind of my three main goals. And then if you have absolutely any questions, please feel free to reach out at social@thepixelconnection.com, and I will be able to help you out. So let's see if we can get everybody in here on the one screen. There we go. Mr. Chris, I jumped that in. Oh, hello, he's there. We're good. Let's make sure we have your audio. We're good.
Check, check, checky.
Yes, we are good. We are ready. We are ready to rock and roll. So I just want to say hello to a couple people that joined us. Steve from Michigan, I hope you're doing well. Kathy, I almost said Katie. Kathy from Lyndhurst, hello, hello. Eric, love the quarantine beard. I love it. Love it. Nice beard, Eric. Love it. I think we need to do like hashtag Eric's beard. It seems like you have like a fan club already. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. And then Melissa says hello. I was talking about her.
Perfect.
And then Jen says Profoto is the best.
Thanks, Jen.
So we got some Profoto love. So tell us a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today, gentlemen.
Chris, if you want to.
Is that me? Is that me? Am I live? All right, cool.
Yes, you are, gentlemen. You are, gentlemen.
Good guy. So essentially what we're going to chat about a little bit, and we're actually going to do some live shooting. I got my camera set up right there, and you guys are going to be able to see what pops up on my screen as we shoot. But I think a lot of people have an idea of hard and soft light. They go, oh, obviously small light source, hard light, harsh. People don't necessarily love it. They think it's kind of nasty. Soft light, I think people tend to shy towards soft light just because it's safe. But there's some rules in there that I think people forget about, or maybe don't even know about. And I think that knowing these things can just elevate your lighting a little bit more. So that's what we're going to talk about.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So if people don't know who you are, let's start with that. Let's start a little intro. Who are you and what do you do?
I don't think you actually want to know. It doesn't work out well for anybody to know who I am. No, I'm the evangelist for Profoto North America, I think is what we're called now. I don't know what to call ourselves anymore, but
we'll go with that. I like that.
Profoto North America. So I'm the evangelist. So what I do is I produce content and videos and stuff like that that are educational. We do live broadcasts on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope, where we're just always kind of trying to chat with people about what is they want to see. We honestly play a lot. Just to like last week's live, we talked about the difference in beauty dish finishes. Okay. And then we were talking to things like, does the silver versus white make a difference? What's the difference in beam spread? What are the things you need to pay attention to?
And where can people find those?
So on Profoto USA, but still, even though I call ourselves Profoto North America, all of our stuff still tagged Profoto USA. So on Profoto USA's Facebook page, Profoto USA's Twitter or Periscope, and then Profoto USA's YouTube page. And then also on every other week, I put out an IGTV video on Instagram. Just really, really quick, really fun ways of like learning techniques on stuff. So I have another one coming out next week, just explaining butterfly light, which should be kind of fun. And you can go back to check out the ones that we've done before that. So
excellent. That's awesome. Well, let's go ahead and get your screen shared here. And if you guys do have any questions during the broadcast, we will, like I said, I'll take them and I'll throw them up on the screen just like I did with the names before. So Eric, just so everything looks okay, I'm going to kick you out of the live stream. So if we need anything, I'll re-add you. So you'll just be backstage.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
You've been kicked out. Oh.
Okay. So we are seeing, it looks like capture one, and then you are on the screen.
Perfect. I'm going to pull that up so I could see that. So looks like the camera is chit-chatting. So the first thing I want to talk about is the idea of hard and soft light. So really the rule is the size of the modifier in relationship to the subject is going to give you the quality of light that you're looking for. And I think the one part that people forget about is in relationship to the subject. So I could have a 2-foot softbox, which, surprise, I have. So you can have a 2-foot softbox, and this is probably one of our most popular modifiers. It's our OCF 2-foot octa. It might be backwards because I'm looking at my webcam, so I apologize. But so this is our 2-foot OCF octa. It's pretty popular. It's tiny. It breaks down really, really small. It's easy to take with you. But what I see a lot of people doing is they'll take a modifier like this, which in relationship to my dome, which believe it or not is actually pretty large, is a good size whenever you're using it relatively close. But the problem is people really start to back these things up. And obviously the further and further this starts getting away from you. I mean, think about if I'm lighting you, right? Cool. I've got this big modifier on you. It's super soft. It's got 2 layers of diffusion, so it's gonna be really smooth. But then once you start backing this thing up, in relationship to you, this is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I'm already, from the webcam on my computer to you right now, we're 4 feet away. So I see people take this thing all the time and they're backing it up 15 feet, 20 feet, and they're shooting light out of this thing. The problem with that is at the point that you're backing it up so far, you're really losing a lot of the things that make a softbox a softbox. It's not really large in relationship to the subject anymore. So you're not really getting the look of the softbox. Yeah, it's diffused. That's cool. But it's really not offering you what you think it's offering you. And at that point, you're actually losing light output because you're having to, get light through 2 layers of diffusion and then 20 feet away to your subject. And the problem with that is if you're battery powered, and maybe you're somewhere in like a remote location where you cannot plug back in, charge, or if you only have a certain amount of batteries with you, the downside for that is you're going to be shooting at much higher powers to try to get light to that subject. Downside of that is you're going to lose battery life. So modifier selections are really, really, really important thing to talk about. And so we're going to do all that stuff. So I've got a B10 Plus set up right here. I've got a beauty dish on it right now, which we're going to talk about beauty dishes here in a second. But I got a beauty dish set up on it right now, and we're going to talk about it because really the reason that big modifiers exist is to give you the ability to start backing your light up some. So maybe you need more coverage on your subject. And so instead of taking a 2-foot octa and backing it up a whole bunch to try to get that 2-foot octa to cover your subject, you could just use a 4-foot octa, a 5-foot octa, a 3-foot octa. Maybe all you need is something a little bit bigger to back it up. And maybe what you do is you find, and I'm not saying that you necessarily need to own all these modifiers. One, if you don't use it that much, but you just need it, rent it. Always rent it because it's way better for you. I always tell people don't buy a modifier until you know that you make a lot of money using that modifier, because at some point it doesn't, like we make this one reflector called a telezoom reflector. It's really, really cool. Super efficient, gives you like 2 stops light output, but it throws light really, really far. So for the people who need that, that's cool, but it's a $750 modifier. Like if you only need to throw the light really far twice, $750 doesn't make a lot of sense, but you could rent that kind of stuff. Same thing. So for the most part, buy the things that you're going to make your money with. Have a small repertoire of modifiers for the look that you like to achieve. I would say a good small or medium to large size softbox is something to have in your arsenal. I personally am a big umbrella user, so you go the umbrella route because they're even easier to set up. So, but what I would
did come in.
Oh yeah, what's up?
A question from me, and that is there a rule of thumb for the size of the softbox and how far away it should be from your subject? So like a 3-foot should be 3 foot away, or a 4-foot should be 2 foot away, or a beauty dish.
I've never heard any like steadfast rules on like distance from your subject to the softbox size. I think the thing that is going to start happening is people just start backing them all up way too far. I think if you're trying to get coverage for your subject, you just need to it really comes down to this. This is how I should say this, because now I'm being silly, and this is what it really means. You should frame up your subject, okay? Your light should be just out of that frame.
Right.
So if you need, and I'm talking about like if your lens is here, like if the field of view of your lens is here, the softbox should be right there. It should be right out of the field of view. And that's going to, one, maximize the size of the softbox, because that's what you want. You want that softbox in relationship to that subject to be huge. So if you have to back your camera up in order to get maybe a full body shot, because maybe you don't want to shoot your full body shot at 16 millimeters. Maybe the distortion's not what it is that you're looking for. So you have to pick a tighter lens in order to get that full body shot. You're gonna have to back up. And in order, it's just, these are the things that you have to be thinking in your brain as you go to light stuff. I think sometimes people get into lighting and it's really unintentional with the way that they're trying to shoot. They're just like, oh, I'll just keep kind of goofing around until I kind of figure it out. That's fine when you're doing things and you're trying to explore stuff, but know that like, hey, I'm shooting this person, and like I said, maybe a 16 millimeter distorts too much and you need to go 35 millimeters. Okay, cool. I'm going to have to back up a little bit to get some coverage for this. Modifier choice, something a little bit bigger that's going to be able to be backed up as well. So there's not necessarily a rule of thumb as far as distance, but just making sure that you're keeping that light source as close as you can possibly do it. Because once again, backing it up really far, you're not only losing light quality, but you're also losing efficiency.
Sure. And I think that, so I'm thinking back to like when I first started, that's a really scary thought to have a modifier right here, because I think we assume that it's just going to look like garbage, that it's that close. But again, that's why these are great. So we can actually, try these type of, we can actually put this to use. But also when you talk about it, like having it in close there, now, is that going to give us a hard light look or a soft light look?
Totally depends. It depends on the modifier that you're using. So I can take this Magnum Reflector right here. It's tiny in relationship to me, right? So yeah, it's close. It will take some of the hard lines that you're going to get, because this is going to give you more of a hard light source. It's a much smaller modifier, and there's nothing blocking the light itself. Actually, you know what? Let's do this better. Oh, I'm coming right back.
No, you're fine. So while you're doing that, I just want to say hello to Tony from Cincinnati. Hope you guys are doing well down there.
What up, Tony?
Mike, keep goofing around trying to figure it out. Guilty as charged. Love that. And then Jen says, gosh, this is my level of nerdy lighting goodness.
Perfect, because I'm a total dork. So,
and then Nick says, hello, friends. Nick Corey says, hello, friends.
My dude, Nick, what's happening, brother? Sweet. So here we go. Let's now talk about a light. So I've got this. I got a B10 sitting inside a Magnum Reflector. So this light right here is going to come right at you. So it's going to be a hard light source regardless. The one thing that you're getting from the Magnum is it's all these little facets right here are acting like thousands of little mirrors. They're taking this light, they're amplifying it. So you're getting this modifier right here will give you a 2 steps more light output, which is killer. So this is a 250 watt second head. Putting this modifier on it right here makes it act like a 1000 watt second head. That's awesome. But it's still a hard light source, even though it's right here. Okay. So if you start to back it up, yeah, it's going to get harder and harder and harder. And maybe that's what you need this modifier to do. So you just have to be thinking about what it is that you're trying to achieve with your look. If you want something really hard, really specular, maybe you want like real angular shadows cutting through the face. Like say you're doing some Rembrandt lighting, get the light over here, and you really want that nose triangle, or this side. It's on this. You really want that triangle popping, then yeah, you need to go with a harder light source. It does still matter. So if I pull this closer, that shadow line is gonna diffuse. So if you start to back it up, you're going to get a harder line. The upside, though, is because you're going to a modifier that's way more efficient than a softbox, you're able to maintain lower light outputs, still getting the coverage that you want while maintaining that battery life. And that's a big deal. So at the point that maybe you've backed this up to here to kind of get the coverage that you want, really, it's not that big of a deal between the two. I mean, the light coming out of the softbox isn't that much softer. at the point, like I said, that you're 15, 20 feet back. If you wanted to diffuse it out a little bit more, you could throw a little sheet of diffusion over the front of this. You don't really need to, though, because the glass deflector on all of our stuff is already pre-diffused. So it's gorgeous. Even if you didn't have a Magnum Reflector, let's say that you just had the 2-foot Octa and you were rolling around, you're like, oh, this is killing my battery life. I'm backed up 20 feet. This thing right here with nothing on it is beautiful. It's really, really pretty light source. So you could just take this one little light right here and back it up. You're now not going through diffusion, extra diffusion that is going to pull back from your battery. And you're really going to still have a really beautiful light source. And it's not going to be that much different than what it is that you're shooting with a softbox. I think the harshness of, I hate saying harsh because it makes it sound like hard light is ugly, and it's not. Hard light's beautiful, especially if you know how to harness it. Easy tip for someone who wants to just get in and just start dabbling with hard light, especially in this time right now where things are kind of a little weird and you don't have a lot of ability to, maybe go out and shoot. Sorry, I'm setting the B10 down. You don't have the ability to maybe do a lot of stuff. Maybe you're just photographing self-portraits, or I'm lucky enough that my wife lets me photograph her. So I have a ton of photographs I've been sharing with my wife just because I'm still exploring, learning things. Maybe this is the time that you start playing with hard light. And a real quick tip for shooting hard light, just take your nose and point it to whatever direction the light's at, because that's going to give you, it's more of that Paramount style light look. Just kind of keeping your nose pointed at wherever direction that the light is, but it's safe because you're not gonna have to worry about any extraneous shadows shooting off because maybe you're looking this way and the light's, cutting across, and look at this schnoz, man. I mean, that thing right there raked across my face, it's not good. So we're gonna make sure that we don't let that happen. So I've been yapping. Let's shoot something. Does anybody have any questions while I get my camera rolling?
No, we do. Tony said, love the diffused glass. So very happy Profoto shooter.
Tony.
How we doing, buddy? Hope you're doing well. So yes, loved the glass. So if you guys do have questions, please don't be bashful. I mean, that's why we put these things together, is to make sure that we answer your questions. So as he's getting set up, think about some questions, put them in the chat, and we'll be more than happy to help you. And also, I wanted to let you know that we do have a class coming up I believe it's next week. It's all about Hollywood lighting. It's all about that not harsh, like you said, it's hard lighting. So if you go on our Facebook page, you can register for that event. It's a free class with Bobby Lane. She does such a great job with these kind of Paramount or Hollywood style portraits. So if you are into that, or you want to learn a little bit more, if you click on that register, it's a free event, then you'll be reminded of when that happens.
Yeah, Bobby Lane's rad. You should definitely go check that
out. I love it.
But yeah, so we're gonna start this off with a 2-foot Octa. Okay. Make sure that my air remote is on. Boom. I want to make sure this is at least pointing at my face. So you'll have to ignore the fact that my laptop corner might be poking into the shot a little bit, but it's whatever. We're talking about modifiers. So
right, we got this.
So I'm going to bring, once again, you always want it in as tight as you can get it right off camera. So there we go. We're right out of the frame. So this is the 2-foot Octabox right on me. It's probably 3 foot away from me right now. So it's like right chop. So let's pull up my Fuji film.
I was just going to ask, so what gear are we using for this?
So we are shooting, my favorite camera is my Fujifilm X-T3. It's sitting right there. I'm tethered in with the tether tools, safety orange cable, so not to trim over it. I've got a B10 Plus with a 2-foot Octabox sitting on top of it, and the TTL Fuji remote. So we're going to shoot this shot TTL. I can't promise it's going to be perfect because for some crazy reason, I decided to shoot on a red background with a gray shirt on and be kind of pasty. So this could go to hell in a handbasket. We're just going to work with it.
Right. So we did have a I don't know how to request. If you can, I'd love to see the hard light nose towards the light versus nose away to see the difference.
You're really going to make me shoot this big gigantic
nose right here. Absolutely, 100%.
I'll do it.
And then Tracy McGlosky says, "Hi guys."
There's my girl Tracy. What's up? What's up, girl? So cool. So I'm gonna look at this camera right here. Let me make sure that we're connected. And 3, 2, 1. Perfect.
So let's see, capture 1.
Capture uno. 2-foot octa. Oh, I must have moved a little bit. So it's you got a little bit of modifier creep in here, but that's a 2-foot octa. So we're already probably 4 foot away from this. Let's zoom in because that'd be better. There we go. So here's me. So first and foremost, it's not that soft of a light source whenever you're even already at 4 feet. It's really not, in relationship to my head, is probably the same size. So, I mean, if you look like right here, not at my actual nose, at the shadow, you weirdos, stop doing that. You can see that the feathering is subtle. It's not like a really big softbox. So I'll take, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab my 4-foot octabox and we're going to do the same thing. But you can see that, yes, it's nice and diffused. It's really, really even. It's really pretty. It's soft-ish is what I would say. That's how I would describe it. So let's take this Mamma Jamma 4-foot octabox. The upside is the power, and just for the record, power settings wise, I'm at 7 already because I'm shooting. I know people always love to know settings. So just so you know, I'm shooting f8. ISO 160 is the lowest ISO I can go before the native ISO on my X-T3. And then 250th of a second. Only reason I'm doing that is I'm trying to get rid of the video lights, make sure they're not creeping into the shot. So here we've got a 4-foot octabox. Don't worry, guys. I'm a professional. So I'm knocking stuff over. Here we go. So let's lower this down a little bit because this box is much taller. I do a lot of this stuff out of my basement too, which is kind of fun. So let's see. 4-foot octa on. We're just going to make sure that it is, once again, just kind of out of the frame of the shot. Because once again, you want it as close as you can get it without it really being in the frame. So there we go. So I probably backed it up. It's probably been backed up maybe an additional foot just to kind of get it out of the frame of the shot. But we should see a pretty substantial difference in its softness. So I can double check for frame clearance. We're good there. So here we go. And we're going to be able to side by side compare these things. So 3, 2, 1. Woo. I knew that sounded loud. Get one that's not overexposed. There we go. Let's get this out of the way. Get my little grabber tool, and that way we can look at my face. So what you're going to start to see, once again, too, because the light's going to back up a touch, you're getting, hold on, let me zoom out so we can see. So softness-wise, this one, if you go into the nose, it definitely feathers way more. You can see that long feathering right there. So you have definitely a softer light source. I was able to back it up and get a little more coverage on the body. So if you go back here and check this out, you can see a lot more detail down here in the pant area. More detail in the shirt. Wow, that was zoomed in a little more than I would like it to. And you can also see it's broadcasting more to the background because, one, we're backing the light up a little bit more. Honestly, it's probably aimed a little bit further over than I want it to. So you know what? Let's just for funsies, I'm gonna reposition this light really quick because I feel like I have it pointed away from me. There we go. This is actually probably more accurate to the 2-foot. I think I just honestly kicked it and swung it out a little bit. So let's take this shot one more time. So 3, 2, 1. I don't know why I'm 3, 2, 1-ing myself. I know that I'm going to take the photo, which is hilarious. Also, why am I so far off the frame? This is weird. Sorry, guys. Apparently, I've turned into a total hot mess. I'm going to scooch over just a little bit. Cool. Let's do this again. I'm not going to count myself down. Maybe I will. Here we go. Go. I'm still way off the frame, but the difference between the two, let's bring this camera back up. And honestly, it's probably a touch over. So just going to bring it back just so we can have kind of more of an apples to apples exposure look. So there we go. Those look pretty even. So cool. Let's zoom in here to Chris. If you need to interrupt at any time too, TJ, just let me know. So, but for the most part, you can see that you have much more detail in the shadow down here with a 2-foot octa. Whereas, honestly, that right there is probably more of my double chin / beard right here. So the shadow has, because that size of that modifier, it has diffused out heavily. I mean, look at the nose, for example. So the shadow on the nose right here, where you have a little bit more detail, pretty much completely gone. So depending on what you're going for, you know, modifier choice is a big deal. Because if you go with the wrong size softbox for something like this, you're not going to wind up getting necessarily that softness that you're looking for. And once again, because I went with the 4-foot, pretty much, honestly, it's probably 6 inches further back than my 2-foot octa was comparatively to where we shot that first shot. But you're getting a significant change in the way that your photo is. Because once again, in relationship to me, that 2-foot octa started getting smaller because we got it off the frame, got it out of the frame just a little bit. And it's not offering that softness. Grant, is it a great light? Yeah, it's a beautiful light source. Is it diffused and really, really smooth? 100%. I'm not going to tell you that a 2-foot octa is not gorgeous. You just have to make sure that when you're choosing the modifier for what it is that you're doing, that you're just paying attention to what it is that you're trying to achieve. And that's very, very important. So the upside is, for the most part, when I check the power on the 2-foot octa, we were rolling at a 7. We are still right around a 7.5 on the light output. So size of the modifier doesn't really change the light output, which is what I would expect. Maybe a touch increase because you have to fill up a little bit bigger of a softbox. But for the most part, you're still double diffused, and it's pretty easy stuff. So what about when you start backing that 2-foot octa up a whole bunch? So this is that 2-foot octa. You can see it's just barely there in the frame, probably still 4 feet away. So what happens if I take that same 2-foot octa and I start getting it really, really backed up? That's when, you know, you're going to start seeing things like this. So let's unhook this 4-foot octa and put the 2-footer back on. And for the person who wanted to see the nose towards the hard light thing, we will do that. Don't worry. We're going to work through this thing first.
Awesome. Thank you.
So we're going to take the same 2-foot octabox back on the B10 Plus, and I'm going to back it up. So we were 4 feet away. I think we're going to go. I have a video light in the way a little bit, so this is gonna. I'm gonna have to. Actually, we may be able to do that nose towards the camera thing right now because I've got to move it around this video light. So we'll do it now. So now I have doubled. Might have even tripled the distance. I'm probably 10 feet away from the place that I just was with my my 2-foot octa. It's not that much further off axis, but you'll see it here in a second. So let's take that shot.
And I just want to point out while we're doing this, he's doing these in his basement with, it's not even that long of a paper roll, and he's creating pretty awesome portraits. I mean,
yeah,
if we were going for like a nice 90s boy band shot, like this would be, no, I'm kidding, but it's a great shot for, you know, in a basement. And look how easy, it's a single light setup in a basement where, you know, he doesn't have super tall ceilings. I mean, totally. He's creating these great portraits, and he's doing it with his phone.
Yeah, and here's a shot. Just I'll pop up another Capture One session that I have right here. But here's a shot. Once again, just me experimenting with multi-light setups with the beauty dish. So this is the same sheet of paper that I'm sitting in front of. Can you see this, TJ?
No, you only shared the Capture One.
I only shared that one Capture One. Let me see if I can share this one really fast.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times, and I know I've gotten to the point sometimes too where I'm like, oh, you know, it's just I can't do this because I don't have this, that, or the other. But in all actuality, you can. Here we go. So this is right after we shot the Facebook Live where we were comparing silver beauty dish and white beauty dish.
That looks nothing like you.
Yeah, it's actually a lot of makeup.
Photo lights are amazing.
There's a lot of makeup. It's a lot of contouring, and I was actually wearing a waist trainer. So, but you can do really, really cool stuff with, I mean, my ceilings aren't even 8 feet here in my basement, just for people who are wondering. So you can do a lot of really, really cool stuff. You just have to work with what you have sometimes. So let's get the other thing back up here really fast, because I definitely messed my screen up. Let's go application window, boom. Shazare, cool.
Oh.
So I've got a 2-foot octa about 10 feet away from me. I'm gonna fire up my trigger. I'm actually gonna make sure that I'm more centered in the frame, because this is starting to get to be a little bit Bush League, if you ask me. I learned everything I learned from Eric, so if anything's bad, it's his fault. So let's do this. All right, so that was bright. That might have overexposed. It's not really that overexposed. So once again, I backed that thing up 10 foot, and I just got the warning alarm that, hey, dude, like, I'm at the top of my power output for this. So, and that's a big deal, because let me just double check and make sure that I'm at 10. So that's a big deal. So just so when I was talking about that technique, I'm going to turn my nose towards that light so you can kind of see. So once again, you can see that the shadows start showing up, especially, like I said, I got this schnoz that will broadcast the big shadow. So what you would want to do to kind of mitigate that some is you would just turn your face towards the light. So there you go. Easy stuff. Just turn your nose towards the light. It's a really, really easy way of getting into starting to play with hard light, but knowing that you're going to get light on your subject the way that you want it. So let's go to something like a Magnum Reflector. We're going to keep it at the same distance. Actually, you know what we're going to do? I think this is maybe a touch overexposed. Oh, no, it's not. Or is it? Yeah, it's maybe a touch over. So I'm going to bring it back just a skosh, guys. There we go. About a half stop. Looks like it's over. So we're going to put the Magnum Reflector on. So
while he's doing that, I just wanted to bring up, so this is one thing that I would do with my brides quite a bit is, of course, when we're doing a wedding, they pick noon for their bridal portraits. We have that hard light, that hard sun, especially in the summer. So you can see here, having that hard light, which is the sun, and you want to do stuff outside, make sure that we're pointing that nose more towards the sun. Now, it doesn't have to be them staring at the sun. You just have to know where that sun is. So that way you can tilt them kind of in the right direction, or maybe chin up a little bit more, so that way you don't get those harsh shadows.
100%. It's really, when it comes down to hard light, I tell people all the time, just point your nose at it. Like, if you tilt up, like you said, tilt up a touch if you have to, just because all you want to do is control the shadows. I think a lot of people, when they're thinking about hard light, they're like, oh, it's harsh and ugly, but it's not. You're just not. You're thinking about controlling the light, but when you're shooting hard light, you should be thinking about controlling the shadows. So it's just an opposite way of thinking.
Great takeaway. Right
so
there.
let's fire up this shot right here of moi. I'm going to put my nose back towards the light again. So here we go. Cool. So check this out, boys and girls. Okay, so it's maybe a touch more overexposed than I wanted to. Once again, I'm shooting TTL and I'm wearing a lot of black. I should probably also fix my posture, because apparently I'm slouching like a crazy man. So when you go apples to apples, what's the difference? It's not that big of a deal between the two lights. Granted, I'm definitely a touch more contrasty here than I would be normally with the shot. But with the 2-foot octa, I was at full power on my light trying to get light output. I'm back down to 7.6. I just gained back 2.5 stops on my battery life on my flash for a photo that looks almost identical to what it is that we were getting with a 2-foot octa. So you have to start thinking about modifier selection when you're doing this stuff, because it's really, really important. It's easy to go, oh, I want big, beautiful, soft light, and then you break out a 2-foot octa and you bring it back 50 feet. I say this to people all the time when it comes to beauty dishes. I love beauty dishes. They're fan-flippin-tastic. If you've never seen a beauty dish before, this is a beauty dish. This is a silver finish beauty dish. They're awesome. The thing that people do is they back them up too far and they try to get a beauty dish to take a full body shot of somebody, and that's not It's not what a beauty dish does. A beauty dish is perfect in a 1 to 4 foot range. You want to keep this sucker as close as possible, because the downside is not only are you not what's worse than not going through diffusion is having something that's actually blocking the light itself from coming out. So the fact that you have light hitting this thing and just you're working on reflected light, which is beautiful because you're not going to get any hot spots. It's going to be super smooth. But because you're working off reflected light, you are depending on light hitting this deflector, going into this, and then back out. The light has to hit 2 different ways before it even gets to your subject. So you start taking this thing and you start backing it up. I can guarantee you. So I got, with my 2 foot Octa at full power, I got 10 feet away. If I did this with my beauty dish, I would have to cut that in half. No doubt. No doubt in my brain, because it's so inefficient. And I see people doing it all the time. The OCF beauty dish is a fantastic modifier. It's inexpensive. It's super portable and it's beautiful, but not at 15, 20 feet. Use a Magnum Reflector for something like that, or just take the modifier off and use the head bare, because it's going to be gorgeous and it's going to be pretty close to the same looks, and then you're just going to get better coverage. So modifier selection is really huge, and these are just things that I see people do wrong a lot. And I don't want to be the kind of person that says that there's a wrong way and a right way to do photography, because I think that rules are, especially in this world, rules are made to be broken. But physics are physics. And you can't get away from the science part of it. So you have to realize that, yeah, cool, I got my light backed up. Let's make sure we're choosing the right thing to, one, maintain battery life, maintain light output, and keep things rolling. So hopefully this makes sense, because it's not rocket science, but it is something that I think people a lot of the time just forget about, or maybe they don't even know about it.
Absolutely, I totally agree. What else you got for us?
This is the kind of stuff that I like to explore. It's just really, it's just fun lighting stuff. Lighting is cool. You can do all kinds of rad stuff. So hopefully that nose to the light trick was exactly what the one viewer was looking for.
Yeah. So Mike says thanks for the demo. So we got an aha.
Thanks,
so,
Mike. I'm here for you, baby.
We are good.
So, but yeah, it's just like you said, TJ. Just keep the nose in the direction. If you have to tilt up a little bit, it'll still look good. I mean, obviously, you're not going to want people like going around like this all day. But if you can't find a tree, just point their nose towards the light.
Do it all the time. Guilty. All the time. So I'm going to ask real quick, what questions do we have? I want to make sure that people are asking questions in the live chat to make sure that everything gets answered. You have an opportunity right now to ask one of the top in the industry when it comes to lighting. I mean, you could tell he geeks out. He geeks out on this stuff. So please let us know what questions you have.
So yeah, it's fun stuff though. I mean, it really should just kind of, my lighting mentor, his name's Cliff Hausner, who happens to also work for Profoto. He's the reason that I even wanted to come to Profoto in the first place. Obviously, we make great lights, but selfishly, it was also for me because I wanted to learn from someone who I considered to be the best. And he would tell me all the time, he's like, dude, just get one modifier, set it down, and just move it. Keep shooting it, just move it, and don't stop. Don't stop. Put it in weird places. Just keep going. Keep moving it. Keep putting it into places. See how the light's going to change. See how it's going to change the subject, and just study it. And that's, have I been the perfect people when it comes to doing that kind of stuff? No, I haven't. But the modifiers that I love, I play with a lot. And there's also some modifiers that I've been curious in. And so there's certain things that I just understand. Like I understand softboxes because I've been using them forever. But like when it came time for me to start playing with the Magnum Reflector, which I love now and I use it all the time, I was the same thing. Super scared of shadows. Thought like that hard light look. People were like, but then I would flip through like Vogue and like Vanity Fair. I'm like, man, like the snap of those shots. What is that? And it was just people shooting hard light. A lot of times, one light source. That's the beautiful thing too about it is you can like. I think some people like that shot I showed you of Kate a while ago in the leopard. That's my wife. Like I said, I lucked out. She lets me photograph her. So that is a 3 light setup. Cool, fun. But there's a lot of stuff you can do with just one. And so at a Facebook Live, kind of right around the time this whole pandemic thing was really, really kicking into gear, and people were like, I'm just bored at home. I don't have anything to photograph. We were just talking about like simple lighting setups and just how to take a simple portrait. And what we used, a big gigantic window as my fill light and just a single light source right here, making incredible images with another like little 4-foot roll of seamless, just something I set up in a room. I even shot it. I shot that live in my son's bedroom. So,
Nice.
so just so you can be like that room is the size of my living room when I lived in New York City. Like you can make cool images in places.
Right. Absolutely. We did have a couple questions that did come in.
Let's do it.
So the first one is modifiers and setup for a group family shot.
Loaded question. It depends on what it is that you're trying to achieve. I would honestly, if you can do it, big gigantic softbox, depending, I guess it comes down to this: how big's the family? If it's huge, I probably wouldn't put anything on the light. I would probably just go bare bulb. Tell everybody, try to keep I might even get to the point where I put the light stand like, let's see this. I'd probably go boom. Photograph right here. I mean, obviously this much higher, but just photograph right here. That way they're looking at the camera, the light's coming at them. That's going to be the easiest thing to do. Big hard light source, because that way, for the most part, it should stay pretty even with everybody. If you have a little more time and a little more control over the surroundings, my favorite modifier for shooting outdoors is a shoot through umbrella. They're so underrated, especially like a deep shoot through umbrella, because what's nice about it is that the deep umbrellas, they taper. Trying to figure out how to do this. They taper a lot. So like if you see like the dome of the umbrella, it goes like this and it tapers back. So it's a deep umbrella. The nice thing about that is that taper takes that light and it feathers it really gently. So you're having direct flash, so you're not having to bounce out of anything. So it's not like reflected into a white umbrella and then back out, kind of like the same idea of a beauty dish. Granted, a beauty dish is still less efficient. But what's nice is you're still shooting straight, so you're going to get more of that like lit area, but the rest of the light's going to taper really, really smooth. So if you have the ability to shoot with a big gigantic, like a 65-inch, like an XL umbrella deep, translucent, that would be really, really beautiful too. If you have an assistant and a tripod and a set of sticks and some time, if you're going for something like produced, and I don't necessarily know your workflow. So that's why I said it's kind of a loaded question. I don't necessarily know your workflow, but if it was me, I always tend to love like the look of like Vanity Fair stuff and like Vogue stuff, like Annie Leibovitz. Who doesn't love Annie? But just a lot of that kind of look where things are really, really soft and ethereal. So if it was me, I would put my camera on some sticks. I would have my second shooter come through and just kind of take maybe two shots with the light in the scene, just as close as I could get it to get the faces, and then I would take it out and take one more shot. That way I could delete the light in post. So it depends on how you like to work. If you like those looks, you have to decide how that workflow is going to work out for best for you. But easiest is going to be putting a light behind you a little higher, obviously, than you, because you don't want your head to cast into the group. But then you can just shoot that right at everybody. It'd be really, really beautiful. The thing that I think people get that hurts people a little bit is what'll happen is they keep their shutter speed too fast. And what happens is they start bringing down the ambient too much. And then when this light comes forward, it's going to look flashy. So, and I think that's one of the things that people are always trying to, they go, oh, I don't like hard light because it looks flashy. It looks flashy. It doesn't have to. All the rule for things that make something flashy are what is your ratio of dark to light. So if you are keeping your ambient light up, so like maybe you're slowing your shutter speed down, not working in high speed sync ranges if you don't need to, you just want to, it'll start to blend. Yeah, you can potentially get some harder shadows, but if you're using the rest of the world as fill, those harder shadows are going to be pretty minimal. So once again, easy wise, I'd go one light, bring up the ambient a little bit, super clean. If you want to get and take it to the, if you have the time in your workflow, you want to take it advanced, I personally would probably go slate shot, 3 exposures, and then split them in Photoshop. But I'm a maniac, so I can't. I'm a glutton for punishment.
So we got a couple other questions are rolling in here. So Jen says, if you could only bring one modifier to a wedding for outdoor bridal portraits, which modifier would you bring? And then if you had 2 lights in the same scenario, would you use 2 different modifiers or the same?
One modifier, shoot through umbrella. If I'm outside, large, probably large, maybe extra large. Once again, just for the same reasons that I just said. So if I personally, when I shoot outdoors, I love for the flash to not look like it exists. I think a lot of people go too far in like most things in life. People go too far to the pole. So people either go like 8,000th of a second, like f1.4. The sky looks like, hell's raining down. That's too dark for me. So, or you see everybody else, they just go the natural light route. The nice thing about subtly blending your flash with just the right amount of flash to the ambient is it just gives this snap to the shot. It just gives this snap to the shot that you just don't get with that you just don't get with natural light. And if you learn to walk that line to blend that flash with your ambient, it's huge. So I would go, to get off my soapbox, I would go large or extra large, shoot through umbrella, translucent, deep, go the deep route. Just because once again, you're getting a little more feather on the edge. If I had multiple lights, I probably wouldn't go multiple lights unless the group is big and I wanted soft light. I might bring 2 of those umbrellas, but for the most part, if I'm outside, if I'm outside, I'm gonna use the free light that's out there, the sun or whatever's behind the clouds. I probably wouldn't roll 2 lights. Just for me personally, I do a lot of stuff. I shoot a lot of editorial things too, where you kind of have to be scrappy. So I've just kind of gotten used to it. Like I'm still the maniac who will break out a 10-foot scrim if I have to. Like I'm a maniac, and I'm a glutton for punishment. So I would go one light, shoot through umbrella, make your life easy. That way, when it's time for the modifier to open up, you go pop that sucker open, and you're rocking and rolling. So that's where I would go: one modifier, one light, shoot through umbrella. You'd rip. You'd rip.
What is the advantage of the Profoto modifiers versus another brand like Westcott?
Well, they're not garbage. You heard me, Brandon. Wow.
Shots fired. Brandon usually jumps in on these. I haven't seen him yet, but wow, shots fired.
It's the dudes at Westcott make rad stuff. I love Brandon and Brad. They're good friends of mine. So if you hear me talking garbage on them, it's just because I love them so much. We try to do a lot of things, and I can't speak for Westcott because I don't know their process. I know they make rad stuff. I can tell you right now that the lights that are lighting me are Westcott Flex lights. I like their stuff. I know that we try to pay attention to certain things like, and once again, I don't want to say that I'm saying these and saying that Westcott doesn't do that because I don't know. I don't know their process. But we try to make sure that, like your soft boxes, for example, a really cheap soft box, the interior, like the pebbled finish interior that's on the inside of it, is glued to the fabric. So if the glue that's used is really cheap or is susceptible to heat, it can become brittle and your inside can start to peel. Or if you use a material on the inside of the soft box that discolors really, really easy, then you can start getting weird color casts out of your lights. So for Profoto, it's all about consistency. So you want consistency of output and you want consistency of color, always. So when we build our modifiers, we're always testing materials and things that are going to hold up better, like fabrics that are going to hold up better and stuff like that. So it's just a lot of research and development goes into it. I think a lot of times people kind of see that they get that premium price look at some of the Profoto stuff, but you just have to understand that we spend a lot of time just testing and testing and testing, and we scrap all kinds of stuff because it just doesn't work that the way that we think a pro would use it, or maybe the materials just aren't up to snuff. So that's why that's what makes Profoto modifiers really, really special, is we really try to pay attention to what we make them with to make sure that you buy my 4-foot octa that's right there that I just shot that photo with. I've had that thing for 4 or 5 years. It's my favorite modifier. It's besides my umbrellas. If I go to an Octabox, it's that 4-footer. I've beat the ever living crap out of it, and nothing's wrong with it. I think the worst thing I did to it is one day I wasn't paying attention and I didn't put the rod into the end of the box, and I was sitting it down on concrete and I jammed the rod through the diffuser. It hasn't made a difference. Like the thing, I beat the crap out of it. So those are the things that make Profoto modifier special. Just trying to pay attention to durability, reliability, consistency.
Perfect. And another question, is a beauty dish too soft for a full body shot?
It's not that a beauty dish is too soft for a full body shot. A beauty dish is, in order to get the softness that a beauty dish provides, you can't get a full body shot out of it. There's just not enough coverage. So what I would do, so let me flip over here to this shot of Caitlin again, just so you guys can see this. Actually, yeah, let's flip over the shot of Caitlin. This is, and I know that I gotta do the thing where I reshare my screen. Hold on a second. So check this out. So this shot of Kate is done with the beauty dish, but the only part of Kate being lit by the beauty dish is this part. Okay, this right here is it's actually the lighting setup is actually still set up other than the beauty dish that I took down to show you guys while ago. There's a 4-foot by 6-foot soft box that's filling in all of this, and then obviously I've got an A1X right here. That's let me zoom in right here to the shoulder. So the light that you see from the shoulder, the real subtle light from the shoulder, that's the A1X lighting up just to give her a little bit of separation, and also filling in the background here a little bit more. Once again, I geek out about this stuff, but a beauty dish, I would not try to, I wouldn't try to I wouldn't try to light an entire person with a beauty dish. It's not the right modifier for it. It gets the name beauty dish because it's made for the beauty world. And if you think about beauty portraiture, it's, hold on, here we go. It's this shot right here. Maybe some shoulders, maybe a little bit lower, because a lot of times it's gonna be a little more clavicle centric. But you're not really getting full body stuff. So beauty dish isn't really made for that. So I would honestly, if you want this, so I went with a beauty dish for this photo because I wanted that snap on her face and on the neck and the chest. I wanted that snap. And I got that from that silver beauty dish, but I knew I wasn't going to get the full body coverage that I wanted. So that's why I have a gigantic, it's only, the difference between the two lights is only half of a stop. That way I could get really, really clean shadows, something that's subtle. Because once again, I love subtlety. Something that's subtle, but it's also going to give you that full body coverage that I want. So long story short, I wouldn't even try even with a white beauty dish to get the coverage. And if you want to go and watch the Facebook Live that we did, it's on our YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook page. We save them, all of them. So you go back and see how we kind of deduce through the silver and the white beauty dish and how we even talked about this in the first place. Because I took some shots just so you can see the difference between the silver and the white with none of the extra lights on. So you can just see the coverage of the silver, just see the coverage of the white beauty dish, and just know that that's not going to give you what it is that you're hoping for. So I would say nay to the full body shot with the beauty dish.
Excellent. Let's see what else we got here. We have someone that said, Don Rogers said, it's nice to see an interest in a webinar on lighting. I love playing in the studio. Unfortunately, a lot of shots go quick and dirty, but have helped us even with that. So thank you for doing this webinar and helping.
Quick and dirty is my MO. That's what they called me in high school. So, I mean.
Excellent, excellent. So if there, I'm going to see if there's, I'm going to leave this open just for a few more questions. I did want to just talk about a few things. So first and foremost, if you like the hands-on goodness, the stuff that we're talking about right now, I definitely want to let you know about Pixel Photo Fest. It is right around the corner, coming up in August, the 14th through the 16th. Profoto will be there. They will have a ton of gear for you to play with. They're bringing some awesome speakers along. Vanessa Joy, who is one of their top speakers, she's going to be there teaching all about lighting, teaching all about just photography in general. And it's 3 days long. Again, Jen was the one asking some questions in the chat. She's going to be there. Her and Travis, Isaac Coffey, Jeff, who, you saw a couple weeks ago talking about lighting. I mean, it's all hands on. We're trying to find the best in the industry. And also, because you guys are on this webinar, you can actually save $100 off of your admission. So that makes it that's half off. So that makes it $99 for all 3 days of hands-on shooting. You can rent, like they were talking about, the Profoto lights. You'll be able to rent them, borrow them, play with them, get hands-on with them, and just create some awesome images. Also, I want to let you know that we are doing a weekly contest. So you have one more day. I announce it tomorrow on the live stream. This week's theme is my favorite lens. So we want to see what your favorite lens is, whether that's a picture of your favorite lens or if it is a picture shot with your favorite lens. Get creative with it. All you have to do is follow us on Instagram at the.pixel.connection and then use the hashtags #thepixelconnection and #mylens. Also, this is the last day to save 20% off all Think Tank and Mindshift bags. Again, I was looking at them last night because I'm going to order a larger version of this one that's on the screen on the left, just to hold some lighting gear. So I'm taking advantage of this 20% off. I can't speak any more highly. I don't know how to say that, but I can't say enough positive things about the Think Tank stuff. It's what I use. It's what a lot of people in the industry use.
Let me jump in on this one real quick. So I've got a Think Tank Project Manager 30. I'm looking at it right now. I've put it underneath more airplanes than I can imagine. Yep. It has never failed me. It's so beat to bloody pulp. So the Think Tank stuff is legit. I've never had nothing of mine break. I put lights under an airplane in my Think Tank bag, and it works great. So
absolutely love it. See, there's another person. Everybody that I talk to just absolutely loves them.
Yeah, they're great.
I want to let you know that we are working with Sigma to raise money for local food banks. So 5% of your lens purchase goes directly to the Cleveland Food Bank. So if you've been thinking about that new art lens, you want to pick up that 150 to 600, now's the time because you can add that lens to your repertoire, but then also help families in need. So, thank you to Sigma for partnering with us on that. It's a great cause to help local people. Also, if you do have questions about, how to light or you need individual help, you want that one-on-one, we are offering those as well with all of our employees. So if you need something with how to live stream, if you need something about video, I'll be your guy. If you want to learn a little bit about, weddings and portraits, Matt will be your guy. If you want to learn about, your cameras and film and whatever it is, in this case, Caitlin would be your person to go to. So again, if you need any of that, you can set up an online time that works for you, and we can do those virtual one-on-ones. So before we jump into these last questions, I wanted to let you know we do have a full week of programming. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the Friday Focus, which we're going to be talking about kind of the news and inspiration from the week. It's like our weekly news show where we don't talk about the pandemic. We only talk about photography. It's a good time. Monday, Chris from Fuji is going to be here to talk about landscape photography. On Tuesday, we're going to work with Kevin Best about cinematography, so intro to cinematography. So if you're looking to add some video or add some of that video skills, storytelling, that kind of thing to what you do, definitely join us for intro to cinematography. And then on Wednesday, Tether Tools is going to be with us to talk about why tether, like what are the advantages of tethering. So let's jump over to our questions. Let's see what we got here. Suggestions for when to use a grid.
Just whenever you want to control your light. Just if
people don't know what is a grid.
Suggestions on when to use. So all a grid is, let me grab a grid. Let's look at a grid.
So the question is, when would you use one? But I think it's important that we talk about like what is a grid, what are the degrees in a grid, and why would you even want to use one? I started using them with my Profoto lights about 2 years ago, and like a whole new world opened up because now I can put light exactly where I want it. And as you're looking at grids for your lights, you can get them for your speed lights, you can get them for your studio strobes, you can get them for your LED lights, like this one that I'm using right now. I have a grid on it, so that way, you know, it's focusing that light directly on me. I don't have it spilling all over.
I'm so glad that you said Speedlight, because I was in the process of pulling down this gigantic case that had my beauty dish grid inside of it. And you said Speedlight. I was like, oh, I have my magnetic one right here.
Exactly.
So this is the grid. This is the one that we make for the A1. This is a 20 degree. So it's
And
just
what does the degrees mean?
So it's the beam spread. So a degree is measured. The degrees come from center off to the sides where you lose a stop. So once you lose a stop on both sides, that's your degree beam spread. So that's where we get that from. So all a grid is going to do, I give up. I quit. All a grid's going to do is it's going to take your light and it's going to put it right where you want it. So if you say you want to, in this, for example, say you want to light my eye, right? So if your light's off a little bit, you're not going to light my eye anymore because it's not, you can't even see it. Okay. So that's all a grid's going to do, is going to put the light right where you want it. Really, really simple stuff. So grids are dope. Get grids, especially if you buy a 5-foot Octabox and you don't get a grid for it, you're a maniac. You're crazy. You're out of your mind. It's hard to control.
I also wanted to ask too. So you said, "Oh, that's beam spread." We gloss over these things, but what do you mean by beam spread? Is that how light acts, or what?
Yeah, so it's how the light. So the beam degree is measured on, once again, from center, lose a stop. That's your beam. Cool. It doesn't mean that's where the light stops. It just means that's where the bulk of your light is coming from. So I think one of the things that that people go crazy about with it is our lights have a flat front on them now. We used to have protruding domes for the longest time. And people were like, oh, but yeah, now you don't get any light out of the sides. And that's not even remotely true, because if you hold your hand up to the side of one of our flashes and turn on the modeling lamp, it lights right at the edge. What you're not getting, though, is you're not getting the full beam that comes out of the flash head. So with a lot of our flat front stuff, your beam spreads in the 60 to 70 degree range coming right out of the flash. So you have a nice coverage, but it's not the power that you're getting at the beam isn't all the way out, but you're still getting light. So the beam is just the degree that the light's coming out, the coverage that you're getting. The cool thing about a lot of our stuff, like this Magnum Reflector, a lot of people see these numbers on the side of our flashes right here. And so we've always done this. This is one of the things that's special to Profoto. But I can take this Magnum Reflector and I can zoom it back just like that and control the spread of my light output. Actually, here, let me show it to you. So you can see that. Cool.
Yep.
So if I take this right here and I start zooming it out, very, very cool stuff. So you can get different looks just by the placement of your reflector on a Profoto light, which is one of those things. So yeah, I bought one reflector, but I mean, look, I can go to something really spotted, or I can start pulling it back and diffusing it out. And so it's still a hard light source, but because it uses the facets, and actually this is, if my webcam will let me show it to you. Here you go. So it just uses the different facets. So let's pull this thing back out. So you see how much of the facet it uses, and then you start to zoom. And you start utilizing different parts of the facets. And then that's going to also dictate your beam degree. So just cool stuff. But yeah, that's beam spread essentially. It's just how wide you're shooting. And then you can vary that for different looks. So
I love it. Nick Corey says, great job, fellas. It was all you. I had nothing to do with it at all.
Yeah, Nick.
Tracy Glassley says, love my think tank project manager. And she also picked it up from Pixel. So again, think tank is top notch.
Beast of a bag. And they're rad dudes. So like my and just because I love Kurt, like my foot broke on mine, and Kurt was like, "Oh, dude, we'll just give you a bolt." Sent me a bolt, fixed it, done. Like they're just good. They're good people. They're
photographers. I mean, they're first and foremost, they're photographers who started this company to build the best bags for photographers. So
Kurt's a great dude. Yeah, support think tank, man. They're huge.
So practice makes perfect. That's what I leave it with every single time, guys. If you need absolutely anything from us, please let us know. sales@thepixelconnection.com. You can find us on all the social or give us a phone call. We are more than happy to help you out. Let's go ahead and give Mr. Chris one more round of applause. We got nice little round of applause for you. So thank you so much for joining. We appreciate everything that you do for the community, the lighting community, the photography community. Definitely check out his lives that you do on Saturdays, right?
Yeah, we do them on Saturdays at depending on technical issues. We usually we do them about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So sometimes the internet's not working, so we have to troubleshoot. But yeah, 1-ish. So and then every other Wednesday, so not this Wednesday, but next week, we release new IGTV. So we'll do that, and we're also doing some other funky stuff. You can find me everywhere at the Chris Fain. So if you guys have any questions, if you want to ask me anything in particular, I'm at the Chris Fain, Twitter, Instagram, all that fun stuff. So
I'll put that up on the.
Ooh, I got a Chiron.
Woo! Chris Fain. A little lower third there. So if you do have questions, don't bother me with. No, I'm kidding. I'm happy to help him as well. But if you want to ask Chris directly, he is more than happy to help as well.
TJ's a busy man. You can't. He's a
I
good dude.
appreciate you being here. I appreciate everybody else here. I hope everyone has a great day. We'll see you
Later.